We have mobilized different stakeholders from our ward or our town to come and support the family, and we are unhappy as men about what has happened to the child. And we are saying to the court that we don't want this man to get bail. He must go to jail because it shows that he doesn't belong to live with people, because you cannot beat the 5-year-old child like that, Mewaka. So we are saying to the court must do their work. This man must not release with bail.
This is sad that has happened to Rena, and it's just so unfortunate that it happens to a lot of children. And I think it's also even sad because our working together is not as effective as it needs to be, so that a lot of children can be prevented from experiencing this kind of abuse. And then it happens that we respond with speed. And also we work with the court, because we've just been with the prosecutor and we said children want to see justice happening. We want to see justice happening. And I think more than anything, it's really the police also giving us guidance as social workers to say sometimes the way you're reporting and you're helping the people that reports the cases, it gives us a problem because we always don't have enough, to make the case winnable in court.
Albert's bringing child rights activists at Childline South Africa, Joan van Niekerk, to weigh in on the story. Joan, good afternoon, and thank you for your time with us here on the SABC.
Thank you for including me on the program. I'm no longer with Childline, but I know that Childline has enormous concerns about the physical abuse of children.
Okay, Joan, thank you for that correction. Perhaps in lieu of this case that's now come to the fore and other cases that obviously ensue, I wonder if you could talk to the challenges of violence against children in South Africa and the impact it's having on their well-being.
Indeed, there are so many forms of violence against children that are unaddressed in this country. And physical abuse of children is one of those forms of abuse. And it's really good to see a community coming out strongly against the physical abuse of children. So often physical abuse happens as a form of corporal punishment, and we do see cases like this where the corporal punishment has developed into something that is far more than corporal punishment, but an actual harmful abuse to the child. Having said that, though, corporal punishment is harmful for children. Any form of corporal punishment can impact on children's well-being. And it's interesting that we have different rules for adults as we have for children. Children are so vulnerable, and yet we find that some people believe that corporal punishment of children is still okay. If I was to be struck by anybody in my world, as an adult, I could go and lay charges, even if it didn't result in injury. Yes. And yet children can be struck by people in their world, and it's not seen as the most serious form of abuse against children. We also have problems with the policing of corporal punishment and the physical abuse of children. Often the police do not see this as a serious crime against children, and so are very reluctant to open a docket unless the abuse of the child is so serious that it results in physical injury to the child. And we do appeal to the police when corporal punishment is reported to you, please take it seriously. Even if the child does not appear to be physically harmed, there's the emotional and psychological harm that is done to the children. Then I think the other issue that is to be addressed is a lot of parents struggle with the issue of discipline. This father is a single father. He has lost his wife, and I'm not saying in any way this excuses his assault on this child. But one has to remember that parenting is a very stressful activity, especially in today's world where so many parents are unemployed. We do not teach parents how to parent. And so sometimes when parents are aware of the fact that corporal punishment is wrong and harmful for the child, they say, but what else can I do? I don't know what else to do. I don't know how else to address my child's behavior. And so we do need parenting supports, especially for single parents who struggle with parenting on their own and not with the assistance of a partner. We need to have this information widely available in communities. We need to have social workers who work more with parents. So hopefully, if this man does go into prison, and this is how seriously the community is taking this particular assault, and again, I want to praise their action on this, before he comes out of prison, someone will help him with the task of parenting and being a responsible parent, either for this child or for future children that he may have.
Joan, let me come in there on the back of that, and thank you for those sentiments and for really giving us the context to that, because you've spoken about, you know, how violence and abuse disproportionately affects the most vulnerable, including children. And at this point, given the interventions that have been put in place, on Friday we observed Children's Day in South Africa. We're leading up to 16 days of activism. I really want you to weigh in on the efficacy of that to date. Perhaps also looking at how worrying violence is in South Africa. Has it become so normalized that it's part of our social fabric? And what does this then speak to the future of our country? Children are our future.
Well, yes, and unless we invest something in that future in the way of helping parents parent less abusively, less violently, one has to have a lot of anxiety about that future. We often use that phrase without realizing that there has to be an investment in parenting. Yes, violence against children is normative in South Africa. Corporal punishment is seen as normative, even though it's been banned in schools for years, and really years. We still see a lot of corporal punishment in schools because educators don't know how else to help a child develop the kind of behavior that's desirable. So if educators are struggling, so much more do parents struggle. We really do need, I'd like to see every high school child in their life skills programming being encouraged to think more about parenting, because we have to remember also that first pregnancies are more common in teenagers than in older girls and women. And so if we have so many teenagers having children, we need to make sure that they have some ideas about how they should be parenting those children, that they can carry forward into their own parenting lives, as it were. So we really need these programs to be rolled out online, in actual situations with parents in communities, at well baby clinics. We miss so many opportunities in which we can say to parents, this is the way of parenting children that helps a child develop optimally.
Joan, thank you for your time with us on the SABC and for those sentiments. Joan van Niekerk is a child rights activist weighing in on the outrage that came to the fore after a 5-year-old was assaulted by her father in Senekal in the Free State, and we continue to monitor developments after the community expressed their outrage, calling for the father to be imprisoned.